How well does a log wall compare to fiberglass and drywall and insulation? With this thermal camera, we'll take a look. If you take a look at just the R value, this would be R8 compared to a normal wall, which would be about R13. With the thermal camera, you can see that at the joints, you're going to have less R value. That blue is the cold air coming in. Right now it's pretty cold. It's probably about 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Between the joints of the log, there's foam insulation in here, and if you take a look at it with a thermal camera, you can see the blue is colder. Now if you put your hand up to it, you can't feel the cold air, but you can see it with a thermal camera. Let's look at the difference. This is an outside wall, so you can see the cold joints in there, and the red is the heat coming in or being retained by the logs. And if we go over to this wall, this is an inside wall. And of course, you can see it's quite a different story as far as the heat retention. Just because these logs have an R8 insulation value doesn't mean that it's worse than fiberglass insulation. You may ask, well, why? And that's because these logs hold and retain heat. So it's almost like batteries that hold the energy and release it throughout the day. Because of that dynamic, you're going to have a more consistent, even heat. Let's compare logs to drywall. Here's an outside wall, and you can see those little lines or those cold spots. And if we go down to the drywall, you can see it's a little more consistent and a little bit more steady. In comparison, you can see the wall is kind of a bluish cast, and over here, you can see that the logs are actually retaining some heat. See that red there? And if we go back down to the drywall, it doesn't retain as much heat. So does that mean that a log wall is better than a drywall? I would say it's about a wash or about the same. Some might say that the log, because it holds all that heat, it would be more even. Now if you look under the door here, you can see that deep dark blue. And when you put your hand down there, you can absolutely feel the cold air coming in on this one. One thing to note, when you're using a thermal camera on glass, you can't trust the glass because the glass just reflects the heat from the other side. If you ever wondered what a log wall looks like through a thermal camera, this is what it looks like.